The one with Stripper is such a funny episode of Friends, and that's saying something because most episodes are very funny, but this one I think is pretty fantastic. This is the 8th episode of the 8th season. It's directed by David Schwimmer, and as always, there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. There are two main parts to the narrative. I'll kind of talk about them in turn, but things merge together at one point, so my thoughts might be a little scattered, but generally I'll go through things in terms of part of the narrative, and part of it focuses on the stripper, and we also have part focusing on Rachel, which is my favourite part. Just Dr. Greene in this was just absolutely fantastic. So in Central Perk, it's kind of accidentally revealed to Chandler that Monica had a secret bachelorette party, and this is because the stripper is in Central Perk, and they were not meant to have bachelor and bachelorette parties. Monica feels a little bit guilty, so as a 2-month anniversary present, because it's not really the bachelor party anymore, she hires Chandler, a stripper, and it's it's just Joey and Chandler, because Ross has a date with Mona. And as Chandler, tells him, you don't need to cancel your date for a fake bachelor party. So it's just Joey and Chandler. The crowns, the hats, I thought it was such a lovely touch. I'm not saying I would have liked it less if they weren't wearing the hat and the crown, but it gave it something a little brilliant. And the stripper arrives. She's played by Jackie Debatin, and she goes through to the bedroom. And it turns out she's not a stripper. She's a hooker, and we'll come back to that in a little bit. Then we come to Rachel. Rachel asks Phoebe to go to dinner with her and her father because she needs moral support, because she hasn't told her father that she's pregnant yet, and she's worried about how he'll react. So they go to dinner, and he asks her, what's new with you? And Rachel says, I got TiVo, to which Phoebe, he asks what's TiVo, and Phoebe responds, it's slang for pregnant. Nothing like ripping off the Band-Aid. And initially he's not happy about this, but then he realises he's going to be a pappy, and he gets quite happy about this, and there's going to be a wedding because his first grandchild won't be born out of wedlock, and Rachel says it's February 2nd. And then she said something that did annoy me. This really annoyed me. I understand that she's doing it out of pressure. She's kind of scared of her father, but he wants to know why Ross won't marry her. And she said that he said, I'm damaged goods. And that's when I think things took an unhappy turn, but also a very funny turn, what happens next. But I don't like the fact that she dragged Ross into this. Granted, Ross is involved, he's the father of the child, but she didn't need to throw him under the bus. Well, in a way, I'm glad she did, because what happens next is so funny. Ross is in his apartment with Mona. Everything's going really well. There's the knock at the door, and it's Dr. Greene. And he wants to know why Ross knocked up Rachel and isn't going to marry her. Obviously, he has Rachel's side of the story, Rachel's fake side of the story, not the actual truth. And just Mona's face, it was just absolutely brilliant. And it's obviously going very badly for Ross. And then there's a phone call, and it goes to the answering machine. And the message is, hey Ross, it's Joey, there's a hooker over here. And just the atmosphere is amazing, and it's very clear that Ross, as he said, he needs to lie down. It's a very stressful time, and it's very, very funny. Around the same time, Monica's at work, and she finds out from Stu, played by the brilliant Fred Stoller, who gave her the number, that it's not a stripper, she's a hooker. And she runs home basically shouting she's a hooker as she comes into the apartment, and it's just absolutely fantastic. It's so funny, and I rather enjoyed it a lot. And then we wrap up the story with Rachel. And this I thought was quite thought-provoking, because Rachel's speaking with Ross at his apartment, and Mona arrives, and she says, oh good, you're here, and I was worried this was going to be uncomfortable. How many of Ross's partners have been made to feel uncomfortable, awkward, maybe less than, because of Rachel? Not necessarily always her fault, but she did ruin his wedding accidentally. She's now making it awkward for Mona. She got one of his other girlfriends to shave her head, which I guess was technically Bonnie's own decision, but she did prompt her. So Rachel doesn't make things easy for Ross's girlfriends, but she said the right things for the most part, and with that part of the narrative, so far, all's well that ends well. And the final scenes of the episode are fantastic. Monica decides to strip for Chandler because she promised him a stripper. She kicks her shoe off and smashes something. I don't know if that was intentional or not, or if it's a blooper they kept in, but certainly it was very effective. And then at the very end, Phoebe comes over to Rachel's, and I love her coat. She's got this black coat on with these pink poodles, and it's gorgeous. I absolutely love it. And Rachel's reading a book or a magazine, and her father is on the phone, and we can just kind of hear him ranting in the background. And she and Phoebe decide to go out, and Rachel just leaves the phone on the side so her father can continue. And Joey walks into the room, and he picks up the phone, as anybody would, and listens for a moment, and he says to Dr. Greene, not knowing who he is, that he does think about things, and then he yells at him and he says, "Go to hell." And I can't even imagine how Dr. Greene would have felt in that moment, being told to go to hell. I can't imagine anybody had ever said that to him. And then Joey just mutters to himself, "Stupid guy on my phone," which I loved. It's a very, very funny episode. Every scene is fantastic. Every scene serves a purpose. There is nothing about it that I didn't enjoy. I thought the one with the stripper was an absolute delight, and most certainly a pretty fantastic episode of Friends.